The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again. We are live. I think things are working. We're working out the kinks, but we're here across the platforms. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're talking the Orange Man's mugshot, 91 counts of federal charges, and Eminem's got beef with a new target. Who may it be? Joining me, my co-host, David Cunningham. How are you today, my good friend?
Oh, absolutely doing wonderful. I took a week off here last week, and I am back and ready to go.
I think we got the flow worked out. I've got a lot of the equipment issues sorted out, and we are ready to kick off this show in the series. And joining me, the wizard behind the curtain, our good friend, Brian Seymour. You got to go to the microphone. Don't forget.
BC Mall up in there. What's up? How's it going?
All right. Appreciate you guys. And starting it off, let's just go to the DOJ's federal grand jury indictment against Donald J. Trump, the president. Well, ex-president, but President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, former president.
Well, you would call President Obama President Obama, but they only started doing that because they need to discredit the Orange Man. Again,
did they just start doing that with him?
Dude. Okay. Anyway, let's just go to what is going on here. Count one. The allegation contained in these following paragraphs are for conspiracy. Now, for Donald J. Trump, did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with conspirators known and unknown to the grand jury to defraud the United States by using dishonesty, fraud, deceit to impair, obstruct, and defeat the lawful federal government function by which the results of the presidential election are collected, counted, and certified by the federal government. In addition to that, and that's the whole thing. I mean, this is it. This is chunk. Count one. Boom. Count two, the allegations contained in these following paragraphs are Donald J. Trump did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with conspirators known to or unknown to the grand jury to corruptly obstruct and impede an official proceeding that is the certification of the electoral vote in violation of Title 18. If I would have done my homework, I would have had what Title 18 was for you, but that's a bad lawyer. Count three, Donald J. Trump did attempt to and did corruptly obstruct and impede an official proceeding that is the certification of the electoral vote. And finally, count four, Donald J. Trump did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with co-conspirators known or unknown to the grand jury to injure, oppress, threaten, intimidate, one or more persons in a free exercise and enjoyment of a right and privilege secured to them by the Constitution and the laws of the United States. That is the right to vote and to have one's vote counted. Okay.
It's got a lot going on there.
All right. First off, Brian, did you get the mugshot? Show the people this man's
We
mugshot.
gotta throw it out there. This is immediately the most iconic, probably negative presidential picture of all time. Oh, it's
And
the mugshot's
made
not positive.
millions within the first 48 hours, 24 hours of that picture of being printed on mugs, shirts. I mean,
Oh, he's a great marketer. He made that picture iconic. Now, how many times did he practice that mugshot? He must have practiced it.
it is.
I
his
thought he would
face.
go with the smile. I thought he would go with the presidential picture smile.
Pablo Escobar.
Yep. He's you got nothing on me, motherfuckers. But he went with with the smolder.
Well, I feel it. At the same time, though, it's a clown show. I mean, they know nothing's going to come of this. They know this is just to besmirch the image. And again, at the same time, I don't think they see how it's got us talk. It's got people talking. Here's the thing. I got a folder full of outrageous headlines that will keep us talking for the rest of the show, but we've got other things to get onto as well.
Of course.
At the same time, you don't think the media was missing the most pivotal topic? They've had nothing to talk about for the last 3 years. They've been talking about a guy that doesn't exist. They tried impeaching a president after he was president. And the only reason these things are surfacing, I mean, the DOJ is one thing. 91 counts in federal cases in Georgia, and I can't. There's another
I
state.
think Georgia's really the big one. That's
yes.
the RICO case over in Georgia, and that cannot be.
Which is such a stretch, man.
It's a little bit of a stretch, well, the Democrats went with that strategy in Georgia because the laws are just so much looser. They gave the authority, that state government has the authority to be able to just go after them, and they took it. They got a lot of teeth, and they used them. So some of this is political theater, but I think there's a twinge of we need to make sure he's held accountable for some of the unpresidential actions.
Balance the perspective here.
Okay.
What are the things he needs to be held accountable for?
So definitely the talks with Mike Pence about overturning and using the authority of the vice presidential office to stop the electoral college vote. That's really the big one. Okay. That's all of that. Now, do some of his co-conspirators probably try to go out and do some a little election fraud? Probably. Was it necessarily Donald Trump going all the way from the top down to the bottom? I don't think so. I just think Trump as a character, as a person, probably isn't talking to his minions. He's talking to his number one, his number two, and that's really about it. And then does it kind of fall down from there? Is it a game of telephone, or is he really giving out to his number one, number two? Hey, we got to overturn this thing. There's no way. And I think there's a little ego hurt as well. He just doesn't. He looks in the mirror every morning and just doesn't see him losing to Joe Biden. It probably irks him.
So
really
I just want to, for consensus of the room.
Okay.
Are you of full belief then that Joe Biden is the highest voted for president in American history?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. I definitely do not believe that many people voted for a dead guy. But again, here's the thing. Nothing is perfect.
Nope.
You're looking at 350 million people in a tribe trying to make sense of this thing.
Yep.
And how do you measure and count everybody's will opinion? Difficult, if not impossible. So you're never going to be perfect.
No.
So to sit here, YouTube and other George Orwellian warlords, please forgive me, but to take the position that there was no mishap. Again, some is going to be mistake. You have to concede that.
For sure.
Now, outside of that, is there any fringe that was conscious? And it could have just been a local actor in Tennessee, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That stuff happens, but nobody, like you said, top people, they didn't coordinate that. They didn't plan for that.
No.
So where's the line on this? I think, the problem is the fact that I have to be scared for the sake of our show and this thing's live feed to truly express what I feel is like a scary place to be. That speaks to why people might have some distrust to what we have. Like, again, if you're going to say it was so pure, so honest, that many people wanted a dead guy. I mean, at what point can you reinstill confidence if you're going to demonize and censor those people? And now you don't delete them. You know, like the conversation with abortion. I don't care if you want abortion or not. You'll never make abortion illegal. All you'll do is make safe abortions illegal.
Oh, absolutely.
So analogous to that, you're never going to get rid of these people. You're never going to get rid of these opinions. The only way to truly change minds and eliminate ignorance is through exposure and education. So putting those people in their own corners, isolating them in their own echo chambers, and then silencing their voices, not going to solve that problem of ignorance. And you're only going to harbor a bigger problem. Let's talk about one thing. Remember, I wrote it down. I was like, "Ooh, I wanted to bring this up."
Hit on me.
Before this show, I created a picture to promote the show. Brian, you might be able to find it. It's on the desktop. I know that you and I had it earlier.
Well, the wonderful listeners, if they're following you on social media, would have
at
seen
Grgat
it first.
57 or at the Rethink Tank. It was on both of them. So check this out. So first thing this morning, I post the picture, and it's Trump with a bunch of witches, and then the promotion for the live, the Rethink Tank live at 7 p.m. And then above that, one more witch, the Wicked Witch of the West, ironically. And that's all it said. Nothing. It was just a picture with his mugshot.
Yep.
I posted that on Instagram with the Hocus Pocus song.
Yep.
That was rolling for about at least 4 or 5 hours and went to like noon, 1 o'clock, even 2 o'clock. Who knows when it topped off after that, because I stopped I didn't look at it after that.
Yeah.
Come back to the studio here, come to find out they pulled the audio. And I go, that's weird. So what I was going to do is delete it right before the video or the stream here and then repost it with new audio. But I'm like, I should also have one on the Rethink Tank page. So I go over there, totally different account, post that picture, and pick a totally different witch song. And it pulled the audio immediately. So, okay, algorithm probably coordinates my IP and my user with those two accounts. It probably indicates that that account is monitored in some way.
A little spicy.
And but it's strictly monitored because the first time it let a video roll for 5 hours, and it probably took time for an official of the social media warlord to review it. Somebody reviewed it and was triggered because they wear the blue jersey. And because of that, they pulled the audio because it's probably a bad representation with our commercial license with these musicians. And it's going to get to actually Eminem's beef, his new target, getting to that conversation. That conversation leads into licensingship of music for political songs and how that is different. Like if a bar has a license for like the bar, like if it becomes a political event, you don't get to have that license doesn't apply.
Yeah, a lot of because I know what you're talking about. Like a lot of these bars, that's why Touch Tunes is so popular. It doesn't necessarily circumvent the license you have to have, but they basically say, hey, we won't have you, because it's like 10 grand or something to have a certain license for just in general. Because those lawyers are aggressive and never ending. So what they'll do is they'll give you Touch Tune and say, hey, all right, you have our catalog of our library. We get a proceed of the profits. You get a little chunk of change here, and now you're able to use music at your bar without having to pay for the whole musical license. So I'm pretty sure within the terms of service, politics is strictly forbidden.
Right. And again, we'll get to that conversation, but the real takeaway from the comment is, okay, it took hours for it to get monitored, but then as soon as there was a decision made, it's either recognizing this image or my account, probably a combination of the two,
Probably.
and immediately pulling the audio, the song that is associated with that story. But again, all that does is highlight why it's so important for you to hit subscribe, ding the notification bell, head on over to X, Twitter, or Twitch, whatever you're watching this on, and you got to support the podcast and share this and spread it out because, again, we're fighting algorithms, and this goes to show that the thumb of Big Brother's on us. But moving on, okay.
While you're subscribing, while you're liking, while you're watching, ask a question.
Yeah.
We'd love to answer a question here today.
Seriously, get involved in the conversation. That was a great we need the input. So comment away, get involved in the convo.
Call us out. Call us
probably
names,
me
I
out.
don't care.
Call me out, agree with David. I get how it goes. But okay, let's start it off because I think you're gonna agree. I'm out here, it's stacked against me. Rachel Maddow worries Trump will probably be president for life if he wins in 2024. In suspense to a New York Times report, Donald Trump's legal strategy, Rachel Maddow has laid out for her viewers, and she is concerned in regards to that strategy by the news that Trump's plan is to win the 2024 presidential election and then use the levers of power to make his myriad of legal problems go away. She warns that if he wins, it means he's probably going to be president for life. Now, Maddow also connected all of that to the surge in the right-wing violence against racial minorities and members of the LGBTQ2, I know there's a two, over the last few years and urged people not to act as if our politics exist in a vacuum somewhere outside the rest of our lives. That's why politics need to go outside of a podcast, and anyway, and whatever you think about that, that's how he's thinking about escaping justice. What does that say about the election for all the rest of us? It means in his own mind and those of his campaign and his supporters, presumably, these are the stakes. And again, whatever you think about that legal strategy for Trump, that is how he is thinking about the election. And that is how he was going to be talking about his supporters and his aides to the campaign. I'm sorry, I could keep going, but this whole belief that there's private conversation amongst Trump and his affiliates, that this is a do or die situation. And I just think that's a ridiculous.
It's a lot of fear mongering. And just even to a point, we saw Trump left office. You could argue how peacefully he did it, but he left. He complained. He probably bitched about it constantly. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall as he's like, all right, I got kicked out of here. I can't come back. Give me your keys. You're out of here. I'd love to just hear his inner monologue. He probably just says it out loud too.
Oh, bet.
But he left. He left. He is not president. He does not call himself president.
Wait, they said he was going to bunker down in the Oval Office and never leave.
That was the whole narrative. He had the military around him. The military industrial complex would be all about him. And none of that happened. It's a lot of fear mongering. Now, I do like Rachel Maddow made one good point. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Politics should not exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I think that's, if you could expand on that and be real beautifully eloquent about it, boy, Rachel Maddow, great. But this is just fear mongering. This is, I hate this. I hate
to that
all
point,
of this.
David. I got to really say, because I think that's what is the motive of the show and why it's so important to have dialogue in these conversations.
Absolutely.
Because so much of the truth and liberating yourself from the ignorance lies in the nuance. And you got to be able to be in those uncomfortable conversations to find the nuance. And when you do have those dialogues, again, I say it all the time, but you find out more often than not that the people you think are different or on the opposite side or the different team, more often than not, you agree with them 10 times.
Yeah, most of the time, really.
Right.
So you got to get out of your echo chamber. Just a hint, just a little bit.
Well, okay, let's push that echo chamber further.
All right.
The fear mongering pushes why Putin may help Trump win again. But see, here's the problem, and this gets to why I'm going to get back. Keep it short. But the reality is, we had government agencies that knew Russia did not collude in the election. That is just a total fraud. They knew that, and they allowed the media to run with it, mainly because the media is an extension of them. But then at the end of the day, they allowed them to peddle this narrative and create this dissent where people truly believe Trump was sleeping with Putin.
Yeah.
And so you can have a headline where Putin will help Trump win again, even though it's fact that there was literally no collusion, and that's a major divide. So, not to get derailed on the headline, but Russia's war in Ukraine has entered in a standoff phase, with neither side able to make a decisive military move and neither willing to start negotiating a settlement either. So what might change the outlook? One thing is the 2024 U.S. presidential election, according to this is the New York Times perspective. Here we go. Analysts think Russian President Vladimir Putin is biding for time, hoping for President Donald Trump, the leading Republican contender, for that if he gets another term in the White House. It's suggested that Trump would reduce or end U.S. military aid to Ukraine, whereas President Biden has said his administration will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Come on, man.
Obviously, Putin is waiting for the outcome of the U.S. 2024 presidential election. If Mr. Trump is reelected, Putin has reason to believe that he could strike a much better deal on Ukraine. So why would he enter in negotiations now? That is ridiculous. Let's be real. This ends now because Putin's afraid of the wild man behind the nuclear button. The reason Ukraine wasn't touched before, okay, it's a double-edged sword. I don't want to take the Fox News like totally ignorant perspective also. It isn't that they're totally afraid of Trump, and that's why. It also was the fact that the UN was not intruding on Russia's grounds. So it's a balance. We made a deal with Russia. We went against that deal. Trump respected that deal. And at the same time, I do think they had a little bit more fear of America and the threat of our force behind Trump versus now.
I think there's some truth in that.
And the thing that you need to fear at a pivotal time like now is this conspiracy now between Russia and China. So now it isn't just us and a major world power, but it's us and a major world power that's hated us for as long as we've hated them and has been around and been a world power. At the same time, now they've teamed up with the even bigger world power that hates us just as much because, oh, why not? And we're a threat to them, so they need to get rid of us. So now you've got two problems teaming up with each other that hate us. That's the type of conspiracy you want to fear when they can. It's kind of like, all right, you're able to protect the sheep. Maybe the farmer's a little bit more threatening. At the same time, there's not wolves around. The second you start waking up the wolves, and that one wolf starts encroaching on your one sheep, okay, you can hold them off. At the same time, it's going to mess you up and you got to really fight. But the second that wolf wakes up another wolf, and now you've got two wolves, you've got a problem. So I'd be concerned. But that's why I find problem with like a hyperbolic article title like that. One, perpetuating. If we're going to sit here and censor a show that's going to inquire about an election that is now under 91 counts of scrutiny, like if we're not allowed to even talk about it, but you are going to make the claim that a definitive election that was not colluded with Russia is in fact stolen by Russia still, and you're pushing that in the media, you got like what? This is
it's just agenda pushing at that point.
Right.
But I think with the Trump thing for Russia, I think Putin probably respected Trump at least enough to just, I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to try it. We got Biden in. Now I'm kind of half wondering what would Trump's reaction be different than what Biden's doing now. We've kicked Russia off pretty much all the Western economy. We've started just supplying Ukraine with almost infinite munitions. We got the UN to be able to bump up their military spend per GDP. I don't know what else Trump is actually doing outside of just being a little bit more respected in that room, and maybe just being a bit more like, maybe I'm not going to try it. Kind of that wild card persona he had in international politics.
I would anticipate him to encourage negotiation. That's a forte of his, and that's something that we are encouraging a cold shoulder towards. At the same time, I think, you got starving, struggling, dying people in Hawaii. Did you know that's America?
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's America. Crazy. And if you're going to give them $700 a family and like $40 billion to Ukraine, come on, dude. Come on. You gave $50 million to gender study classes in Pakistan. I didn't forget. I got a problem with that still. That's crazy, dude. And the problem is, the narrative is you start off liberal, and as you get older, you become more Republican, right? That wild cliche. But the thing is, the only thing you really start caring about is you are taking half of my paycheck every 2 weeks. Now I'm paying attention to what my paycheck's going to. And when I have my American brothers sitting there starving with their hands out, I really got to worry about what you're putting your money towards. Did you know the infant mortality rate in Michigan, Detroit is worse than it is in Haiti? That's a problem, dude. Did you know that we still have poisonous water in Michigan? That's a problem.
That didn't go away yet.
No.
Gone away.
You just forgot. Did you know Biden's still putting babies in cages? That didn't go away, dude.
Yeah,
So all I'm saying is, we're all on the same side against the same problem. And that problem is inviting us and discouraging the dialogue and curbing what we can talk about and how we can talk about it. At the same time, we need to start holding these things accountable.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the $700 thing just looks pitiful in comparison to some of the Ukraine spending. You just go, hey, well, sorry, Ukraine, we got half for you, half for the other side. Well, did you also see that the initial bill, the new Ukraine bill, the Hawaii funding was tied into having the Ukraine funding passed? So that bill, both of those are tied together. So that's like,
the only way an American gets to eat is if we pass for the Ukraine. So, okay. Thank you. This is how the universe works. It's all one connected fabric, and you brought my point
back together.
Whole purpose of this is, okay, what would Trump have done different? I do think he would have encouraged negotiation in a place where currently we are promoting turning a shoulder towards negotiation. To the guy that played a piano with his penis, who is now the president of Ukraine. That guy. The comedian.
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah. So that guy is being encouraged by us to not negotiate. In addition to that, bringing it back to the point of what else Trump would do different, he is also not going to be giving that much money to them. Like, it's not going to be, we are funding this proxy war. We love the war machine, which is why Trump is hated by the world and the war machine, one of the most powerful economic forces in our world.
Absolutely.
He doesn't love war. Darn. So again, if you've got a machine that's funded and or that is fueled on promoting proxy wars with Russia, we're never fighting them. We're fighting them through someone else. That's wild. That's your government representing you. You should not love that.
Yeah.
So that's what this is, dude. And Maui is burning.
Oh yeah, it's still going on. Now, I will say, in fairness, I think with the Trump thing being totally anti-war might be a little.
You're right.
Might be a little revisionist history. Because I do know one of the better things I think Biden really did.
Yemen. He let Yemen get away with stuff. Trump did. That's a problem.
And I think Biden's still kind of letting
he
that
is too.
happen.
Oh, total. Oh my God, that machine don't stop, baby. Woo.
He did pull out of
But
Afghanistan.
again, that comes back to the dialogue. Don't you think their fingers are the same hand? Their wings are the same bird?
Absolutely. I think it's the leaders of these shadowless, faceless leaders of both parties that are, it's almost like a big old funnel.
Yeah.
Right to the top. And it's like, hey, no. We're gonna keep this here. We're gonna keep this there. Imagine all the people working in Texas, Alabama, Kansas, North Dakota. You want to keep these economies rolling. Just, send a couple bullets Ukraine's way. It's not that much. You see the posts about how much of our GDP we're actually spending for Ukraine. It's 1 or 2%. And people telling that that's actually a pretty good deal. We're really crushing Russia's economy, all for 1-2% of our GDP. That's an awful way to look at it. That's just terrible. It is a good value. That doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it something we should be continuing. It's what happens when the Russia thing stops. There will always be some sort of conflict we need to either highlight and put a spotlight on. It is.
How long is
It's
this
just
thing
never.
now?
It's just never ending.
Just go out. Oh, sweat.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
But the war machine never ends.
It doesn't.
I don't see a way to stop it either, because the spending per GDP just keeps getting more and more. That's why we're tying in energy into military spending.
But can I just, not to totally derail the conversation down a different road, but shouldn't that lend itself to why it's so important that, as China calls it, the sleeping dragon, the biggest military in the world, which is the armed American civilian, shouldn't that only alarm us to why it's important to preserve that? Like, think about how much money you're talking about. Me, you, and Brian are up against.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid. And also, that's my money. That's my money.
Our money.
Your money and Brian's money,
Your money?
and your money listening, unless you're from Germany or, Australia. Welcome to the Rethink thing. Otherwise, that's our money. This is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So again, why it's important. I have if you keep people's mental health up, physical health up, cost of living down, and that makes their whole livelihood, passions and purpose for living, careers and hobbies, those things up, you will have a prosperous, happy society. Those are types of people that you should trust with weapons, the trust with the ability to vote. And again, we are distracted by the cinema, the world is their stage, the show they put on for us on, an event here, an event there, that is a tragedy, on why we need to get rid of them. But at the same time, when you just talk about how much money we're up against, you might as well just give them the keys to your house. Just do it.
Yeah. And
trust them. Hey, for right now, they're good actors.
Yeah.
JB, the dead guy, good guy. When it becomes a totalitarian state and he hands the keys off to the crackhead, you're gonna be so happy that you handed the keys over to the royal family.
He violated the laws he violated gun laws and still just got away with it. Just kind of let that one through. Felony. Wow.
And he votes blue, baby.
if he shows up to the voting polls at all. I don't know if he actually does vote. I'd be curious.
Oh, come on, he votes for Daddy.
I don't actually think so. Oh, he's got a busy lifestyle. He's gallivanting naked around his house, doing some cocaine, finding some women. He's painting. He's got a lot of things going on here. I don't think he's actually doing a whole lot of voting.
Yeah, he's painting, talking to Saudis.
Well, he is painting. You can buy one of his paint. You would actually probably look, instead of having like Africa, Asia over here, just have an original Hunter Biden painting.
Come on. Look me dead in the eyes. Tell me that would not be totally worth it. Then I get to talk to Daddy. Whatever that cost is, it's worth taking it on. I get to talk to Dad.
The big guy.
Oh, Pops, the big guy. That's right. That's the
guy.
text. I get to talk to the big guy.
Big guy.
Come on, man.
Let me tie this back over here, because you made a pretty point about Russia and China including together here, getting off the petrodollar. There's I forget what the name is. It starts with the B.
Bitcoin.
No. It's the alternate to the G7. That dollar. That is the single biggest threat to our normal day American lives. When we are not the reserve currency of the world, our ability to be able to spend and not just hyperinflate the economy. 'Cause you think inflation's bad right now. Just wait until we can no longer service our debt or service debt to others in our currency. Oh, there's gonna be a revolution. There's gonna be all sorts of things. It's just gonna implode in on itself. That's really the biggest thing that we need to watch out for. You have China, India, and Russia kind of all in the same ballpark. Now, I think Russia's economy is the size of Florida. Maybe it'll all be nice and call it Texas. It's not that big in comparison to the landmass it holds, but India and China, oh, absolutely. Those economies combined are more than 30% of the world GDP. So those two colluding together and getting more and more nations involved against the West, it's eventually just going to be a West and everyone else. And once we're off that world currency, off that petrodollar, our American lifestyle is going to implode. It's going to be ugly.
That'll be harsh. And that goes back to a classic viral video of Post Malone going around when he was like backstage. He's smoking a cigarette and he's like, the second the dollar crashes, you need to pull your money from the banks, even though it's useless. You need to have, first off, your money should be in gold. He's like, you need to take that stuff and you need to run. You need to leave your property because the world is going to go to chaos and you need to get somewhere safe.
Yeah, we're kind of screwed here in Cleveland. It's if the world implodes, we're not the best place in the world.
But what do you think about one? We're kind of in a woodsy area. It's got the elements, depending on when the time it crashes. Like, man, we got the lake effect, but then also we got the lake at our back. So it's like they're only going to come from one way. And I will fight a crackhead from Toledo.
You're assuming that crackhead's coming a long ways. Well, I'm not gonna fuck with that guy. That guy's running from Toledo just for me. I'm getting out of here. No way. That's like the old would you take $1 million, but a snail's following you forever? And if he touches you, you die. That's like the same thing. I don't want any part of that. I'm getting out of here.
Dude, could you imagine? And you're like, all right, I'm taking a day to Universal. He's gonna get to the park by probably like around 4. So, like, I have until 4 free. And then I like 4. I got to be worried about my rides. And now you're doing rides, like, opposite the park. And if the ride line exceeds, like, an hour, you are flirting with
the
death.
relief you have when you're on a roller coaster. It's like, there's no way.
And then it pulls up to the thing again. And you're like, no. And there's just a snail waiting. And you're like, no.
Oh,
you can't enjoy life.
You cannot enjoy life. So I don't want a crackhead from Toledo following. That's not a way to live.
It's just not. But then there's gonna be like a wave of people from Chicago and whatever else lies beyond that side of the United States, and they're gonna follow that crackhead. It's gonna be a problem.
You think it's gonna come west east, or you think it might go?
Oh, we're all going west, don't you think? That's just the spirit of America. That's how we made this thing. That's how we die in this thing. It's like we all go west.
There's a lot of space out in this desert. I'm just gonna hike up here. Nothing.
Dude. People will try to climb to the highest point in like Seattle or Colorado and just be like, all right, this is mine. This is my steeple, and nobody can ever. And then if somebody climbs that high, you got to dig it out.
Some of those West Virginians are probably going to be pretty successful in this scenario. They're going to be down the holler. They're going to have a community there. They're already built around. They've been preparing for this. I think
gold, like people that pine for gold, whatever that. What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever it is.
Panning. Yep.
I wanted to say mine, and I'm like, that ain't it. So I made it up like a pine tree. But again, let's get back to this thing. We got to pass the baton to Brian. Brian's only because I want him to give us the background on this bad boy. Really, because there's some unique actors in here that I thought brings a little.
You mentioned one earlier to me. I was like, ooh,
right?
This guy.
So, Brian, give us a quick breakdown of the people involved in this indictment. I don't know, circus.
All right, we got a lot of people in this. Let's start with oh boy, I lost it. All right. Donald Trump, he was indicted with 91 counts, and for the violation in Georgia They're calling him out for the voting fraud and
RICO case in Georgia.
RICO case in Georgia. Yes. Rudy Giuliani, the ex-mayor of
New York and his
City.
attorney.
And yes, Trump's lawyer, John Eastman, he is also tied up in there.
What are they charged with? Does it say?
Yes. Eastman's charged with 9 counts of urging then Vice President, claiming the court's filing about 72,000 people legally voted in Georgia and speaking at a rally before the Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. Giuliani faces 13 charges, election challenges while allegedly conspiring to commit crimes while impersonating a public figure and filing a false document.
Here, Brian, real quick, I'm going to read some of the charges I have here. Solicitation of a violation of an oath by a public officer. Donald Trump has that. Falsifying statements and writings. But when you get to like Rudy Giuliani, amongst here also other attorneys like Robert Cheeley, Mike Roman, conspiracy to commit filing false documents, solicitation violation of oath by a public officer. These are so vague, and they're not normally applied to these types of laws, but they're attempting to. And this would be the first time it'd be applied in an executive manner, and especially the legal representation of that executive officer. But again, with Rudy Giuliani and others, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, there's so many counts of these. What was the other attorney? I know that you had, that's it, Sidney Powell.
Yep.
What's her situation?
She faces 7 charges, including computer theft, invasion of privacy, and effort to defraud the state after making voter machine fraud claims and trying to access voter files.
Brian, skip down to the most fun one.
Yes. Trevion Cuddy is ex-Kanye West publicist, facing 3 charges, including for allegedly soliciting false statements by meeting with the election worker Ruby Freeman for 1 hour to pressure her to admit to ballot stuffing at a vote counting center.
I'd love to know the story of how that just came to be. What was his? This is probably one of those where there's no way this guy's talking to Trump. Not at all. He's not talking to Rudy Giuliani. This might just be an independent actor.
An ex-Kanye West publicist.
It's wild. You think Kanye was like, hey, just go talk to him.
Go harass a person about, what was it? Ballot stuffing or
pressure her for 1 hour to admit ballot stuffing at a vote counting center.
What incentive does Kanye West have? He was also running for president.
I don't even know that.
And how does Trump get in contact with a Kanye West publicist? And then if that's a contact of Donald Trump's, why isn't it Donald Trump's publicist? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the closest nexus to Donald Trump is a picture with Kanye West. Oh yeah, that guy's publicist. Like, that's the nexus between this person and Donald Trump. And you're going to go, yeah, charge them. And that's part of it's all one big conspiracy. You call me a conspiracy theorist? Like, what? All right. So I just wanted to get
that one's a little silly.
Yeah.
That one's pretty silly.
Well, before we kind of wrapped with the fun stuff, I had to bring down at least, okay, these are what the counts are. These are some of the actors involved. You got Rudy Giuliani, you got Sidney Powell, other attorneys. And again, you have a judge's narrative came out about, oh, this is the defense is a Nazi defense. These were my orders. This was what I was told to do. They were attorneys filing on the behalf of their client. And when it comes to your contractual agreement with the state in regards to being a licensed attorney, like, you are saying, I will respect all of your rules. There is a rule of conduct and ethics that I have to abide by. If I violate them, I lose my license. That's how this goes. So I not only owe a duty to that license in the state, but also my client. And some of the rights and duties to my client are protected within those rules. If you're going to say this is a Nazi defense, then you need to tear down the entire legal system. And the thing that has protected your local jeweler from being robbed and your delicious mom being milfed at Starbucks, like, all I'm saying is law and order only happens because there's a system. Is it perfect? No. Does it need help
we
and
all
assistance?
agree and we trust the system.
Bingo.
So
are we going to really call it a Nazi defense for attorneys doing what attorneys do? You're not, and again, do not make my point to be Rudy Giuliani grabbing a guy and pulling him in a coat closet and going, you better, you say it was stuff that there was a rigged, it was rigged. That, okay, that is not protected with you violated. Yeah, boom, time out. You're out of here. But I think any other world, if it's, I am telling you I am your client, you are filing this, then you file it.
Yeah.
And that's called being a zealous advocate, which is what I'm owed through my license. Like, that is how this works. But some of this stuff is an egregious stretch. And back to your point, it's a circus and it's just a political show. And so, Brian, because it's a political show, show them what we had Trump X tweeted on True Social, a funny one. What did he say, Brian?
This is the mugshot of America. This is the mugshot America deserves. And it's a picture of Biden looking normal.
Confused.
With the background of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
Too perfect.
Wasn't his first tweet back the advertisement for the T-shirt of the mugshot? Was I gaslit by Instagram? Was that a real thing?
What?
The Trump's first tweet after he came back. So he hasn't tweeted since he
I was gonna say he has not tweeted
since he got reinstated. First tweet was was selling that T-shirt.
So he did tweet?
I don't know. Am I being gaslit right now?
All right. Well, Brian looks it up. Brian, go to X or Twitter. While you're looking up to see, go to Donald J. Trump's profile. You could probably share it on the screen for them to show while you search it. But I'd be curious to see when his most recent tweet was, and if it was imagine his first tweet is the sale of his mugshot.
Just leans into it. I mean, you have to. Just politically speaking, you got to lean into it. You can't run from it. Can't be afraid. That's why I think he practiced that much.
Okay, 100%. In addition to that, can we also say then, world is their sage? Shakespeare told us, like, if this is the fact, like, doesn't that make sense then why he never tweeted? He was saving it. Like, the show is going on, the WWE is playing out, and this was part of it. This was a chess move. We've always known they've been playing 4D chess. This is just part of that. Brian, were you able to find it?
His latest was August 24th. And
I might have gaslit.
The election interference never surrendered, DonaldJTrump.com.
He did tweet?
Yeah.
Oh. But was it of the T-shirt?
Then what was the tweet before that?
It wouldn't have been the 24th, would it?
Yeah. What was the tweet before that? You should just go to his profile.
Yeah, I'm on his profile. All right.
Did he have any tweets that preceded that?
I don't think.
Probably would have been.
If I remember
January
correct.
8th, 2021 was the one before that.
Okay, so you've got a couple years off.
2021 to 2023.
And he tweeted, his last tweet was to go to his website?
Yep.
Oh.
Never surrender.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was gaslit.
Yeah.
Picture of his mugshot.
They got you, Blue Jersey.
A picture of his mugshot?
Yeah.
Not selling the mugshots. What I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I just saw it, like, oh yeah, he's selling a T-shirt with his. It fits. It tracks.
Fits.
It's not. But no, it just turns out he's just thrown out there.
All right, final bit on the Trump story here. Trump gripes on his True Social account. that the indictments are keeping him from the PGA Championship in Scotland. It reads, I have the Stay Sure Senior PGA Championship in a breed in Scotland on my great course, and I can't go. I have to stay around and fight off the crazed radical left lunatics, communists, Marxists, and fascists. I wouldn't want to be in Europe and watch this country destroying scum work their disgusting and illegal magic on unsuspecting Republican leaders who just don't think it is appropriate to fight fire with fire. But we will win. Make America great again.
He's starting to lose the charm with his tweets. He used to be real. When he first started, it was real short and sweet. Now he's all these paragraphs. I don't know if the Trump tweeting style works when you have more than 280 characters. You need a lot less.
Facts. I couldn't agree more. That's dead on. You're so right.
So he can't go, which again, I think he likes to gallivant around. He likes to travel. Trump's a cosmopolitan by heart. Just that must really just irk him, doesn't it?
My favorite part about it is in his truth, whatever you want to call it.
It's a truth.
The tweet, whatever you want.
Truth. I mean, be respectful for the president of the United States.
His
truth. He's speaking his truth,
his
which I truly believe that it's all his truth. There's not gaslighting anybody. He just totally believes this. Even Covfefe. He totally believed that. Like, yep.
I love that he has to make a mention of my beautiful cause. It's like, oh, you are amazing. And again, now you've got an article about it. Tell me that isn't one of the greatest ads for your course and the Trump brand.
They just can't stop. They can't stop promoting everything he says. It's real shame that the public didn't quite go truth and like look at all his tweets, because it was just nonstop with his tweets. Tweet would be a story. We started to see less of that, but I think now that more journalists are like, all right, I'm going to sign up for True Social. I wonder what the ratio is, like normal people to journalists on True Social. If it's not 1-to-1, it's got to be pretty close.
You're so right, dude. That's got to be it.
How else are you going to see it? You know?
What if it's just a predominantly it's predominantly populated by journalists in their own little echo chamber, making their own stir, and they're just writing about each other?
I'm not on True Social. I don't know, but
yeah, me neither. That's why I'm.
You think
alluding.
You're going to cause a ruckus? Cause a ruckus there. Don't cause a ruckus on Twitter. You're
Dude, can we have a conversation? What are we calling this damn thing? On X?
X? I think you just go X now. He's all in on X, but I think it's still tweets.
That's not weird to you?
It's like, what else can I call it? You're Xing it out?
Dude, at the same time, dude, he should call it X Twitter. Like, now it's just like, ex-girlfriend just
really lean into it. The app formerly known as Twitter. Just do the Prince thing. It's a symbol now. X, you know, what's a letter? Just a symbol?
Dude, you are. Cheers to that point.
I've got a bunch of these here for you tonight. I saved this all for 2 weeks for you tonight.
Oh, man. Well, in lieu of that, I owe it to David to bring it to the only topic he wanted to talk about, as we bombard you with this crazy witch hunt. Fine. We finally said it. All right. Now, let's get to one of the topics you wanted to get to, which was the Republican debate. Yes. Perfect segue into that. We were talking about politics and licenseship of music.
Yep.
So let's just talk about a venue. Hershey Park in Pennsylvania is having Trump in town. He's going to have 15,000 people come to this stadium to listen to him speak. They all come, and he plays a Guns N' Roses song because that venue has a licensed agreement with a record deal or whatever, production company. I don't give music. One of those companies to have a slew of music, Guns N' Roses being one of them. And Donald Trump wants a song. He sees what they're licensed for. He picks amongst it and he walks out to it. Now, it was Donald Trump and his divisive political demeanor in the arena to bring about new law. And so now you have musicians and artists coming out and claiming that it's a differentiation of the license. One of the things they're saying. So let's get to this article.
All right.
Eminem demands GOP candidate Ramaswamy to stop using "Lose Yourself" at campaign stops. There was a video surfacing from Ramaswamy's academic past where I don't know if it was college, law school, whatever it was, where he rapped a song, Eminem song, "Lose Yourself," and it resurfaced and went viral. Because of that video's virality, now when he's on a campaign trail, not at the show to the people on stage, but just to fans when he's out, they, compel him to do it.
Yep.
People record it. Again, it goes viral. And now Eminem's coming out lashing against him for performing it. And so Eminem is demanding that the Republican presidential candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy, stop using "Lose Yourself" on campaign stops. He's invoking the unique rules of BMI's, which is a billboard platform, their special political entities license to do so. In a letter obtained by Billboard, BMI formally asked Ramaswamy's campaign last week to stop using Eminem's music, less than 2 weeks after the candidate was captured in a viral video rapping the lyrics to the smash hit song at an event in Iowa. Here's the thing, Eminem, you have the licenseship to your song, but you don't have the licenseship to karaoke. Like a club can do a karaoke night.
Yeah.
Now, I got to look into that. Maybe there is a licenseship to that, but I'm pretty sure a club can a bar can buy a karaoke machine and do their deal.
I think so. Because it falls under what?
Because there's a commercial relationship between that karaoke and the.
Wouldn't it be fair? Wouldn't it be fair use?
Hold on. Your performance of it, totally. That's what I'm going to get at. You're 100% right. Your performance of let's stick with Eminem's "Lose Yourself." Perfect example. You buy a karaoke machine. There is a commercial relationship between that karaoke machine, whether it's a software, let's say it's a computer, you're just using your laptop and it's an app you download. Or back when I was an old fart, there was a giant karaoke machine that you could buy and it would actually have things instilled in it, or you could put discs in it. The relationship between the disc maker, the software maker, the karaoke maker, and the music artist, production label, whoever, that relationship is contracted for. So when I buy the product, the relationship is I make karaoke's that I want to have all of your playlists on.
Yeah.
I am going to distribute 100,000 of them. You get X percentage of them, or I pay you a flat fee to be able to distribute them outright. Whatever that relationship is, it's different. But if that's what I contract with you, and then I sell it to Brian, Brian's free of any obligatory relationship to you or what. He can use it. I paid for it. It's free off of that. I don't know, leash.
Included with the purchase of that.
Exactly.
That's part of the working agreement.
So that's where, it's a gray area. Is Vivek Ramaswamy using a karaoke app? No. If you've got one of your boys behind you playing off of Spotify the song, and then now you're just, I listen to this every day on my way, whatever. And it's your heart, and you're just, when I lose yourself in the music, you more and you want and you never, and you just go into it. Like, okay, now this is where attorneys become assholes, and that's why you pay more for me and less for the schmuck down the street. How creative is your attorney? Because they can make the argument. It's going to come down to a sliding scale of how faint is that song in the background. Because don't forget what made Justin Bieber. It was him just singing songs illegally.
The original
on
YouTube star.
Bingo. just doing covers of songs. So what are you going to do? Sue an 11-year-old? Like there's
Your
there's
chance to sue.
there's a sliding scale to where you have the ability to sue.
Now, are you suing just to distance yourself? It's like I'm taking legal action just so my fans know I'm not a fan of this, and I'm going as far as I can, even if the lawsuit's flimsy on itself, just based on what you said. I think that's the play. Eminem doesn't want to be tied to Vivek Ramaswamy. He just wants to go, well, I'm suing you because I don't want you playing my music. I can't stop you. I know I can't stop you. However, I'm telling my fans, I don't like this. I'm going through every legal avenue I can to not do this. That's probably the play. I'd be interested to see if he'd actually stop him. Now, also, Vivek Ramaswamy could just pick another song. You can just do something else. Now, the virality of that song goes with kind of something he's doing. Make a new song. You can do something.
Well, and I like that point. So if you take a look at let's take a look at what kind of provoked that law, right? So I'm talking about this BMI law, which kind of developed, and it started really in 2018.
What does BMI stand for? Tell our ladies and gentlemen here at home.
It's an acronym that it's not even in the article here.
Oh, okay.
It's just I don't know if it's based on the record label that created Billboard is part of it.
Okay.
I'm thinking it has to do with the record label that created the precedent of this law,
like Billboard
because they're
right,
because it's referred to as Billboard.
Oh, okay.
Again, I wish I had more for you in that regard prepared, but in the past, there had been some confusion about whether the exercising of this BMI license had held by venues themselves, where that line in its restriction was: hotels, convention centers, event spaces, and so on. And again, if you take a look here, we've got, where's it at? Back in 2018, Axl Rose claimed that Trump's campaign was using some of the legal cover to keep using their songs, Guns N' Roses songs, even after they had been disputed. So I totally respect, Axl Rose himself said, unfortunately, the Trump campaign is using loopholes in various venues' blanket performance licenses, which were not intended for such craven political purposes without the songwriter's consent. Okay, here's what's I'm of the same vein as you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's really cool? The Rethink Tank does a lot of things with this band, Quick Mystery. They got a new album coming out. I love their music, and we've got an episode coming out this Thursday with the lead singer. And so when I talk to Dallas and I talk to the other bandmates, and I love their music, I feel so lucky, and that they kind of support maybe not everything I say, but the spirit in which it comes from, and the spirit of the show. And so they allow me sometimes to use their music, and when YouTube wants to flag it, Dallas is there on his end to allow me the rights to use their music. There's something even cooler to having that ability and it being ordained by the artist, right? Like it only furthers that support. It only gives more credit and makes it cooler. At the same time, when you are Trump and you want the Guns N' Roses song, but you have Kid Rock itching to he's your biggest supporter and he's dying for you to listen. You use my music. Like, I'm with you. Why are you trying to use, like, it's a loophole, and I'm willing to play the legal argument to wrestle with it. At the same time, though, why are you so desperate to use someone else's song that doesn't want you using it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian, what's up?
It's kind of funny that you bring up Dallas and Quick Mystery. Right when this episode began, Dallas commented, "Release episode 69."
Dude, he knows it's one of the forbidden episodes. I have so many people that are itching to see it. So his bandmate, the drummer, Vinny, we're having this episode. It's episode 69, and it's already you know the spirit of 69.
Oh,
like, it's episode 69, and we're already, the show is off to that spirit. Vinny goes on a story about a date he had. And she wanted him. He didn't like it. They were leaving and the date was ending. And as she was walking away, her final stitch effort to Vinny's heart was, do you like getting pooped on? And
that's your Hail Mary.
The reason 69 has been really stalled out was when I say that, it was already on the spirit of 69. When I say that derailed an episode to the darkest ends, like that has to be behind a wall. It was going to be NFT'd, and now it's got to be just behind a paywall. Like, even if it's $1, that just cannot be on YouTube. If you, 69. So now everybody's asking about 60. Where's episode 69? It's coming. It's there. It exists. It's just in the Rethink Tank vault because it's a bad one.
I appreciate her just going over the cliff on it. The Hail Mary. There must not have been an internal dialogue where she's going, I'm not doing it. It's not happening. She knows. You know. And I just go, you know what? Let me go for broke here. If he's into it, I'm gonna know, and it's gonna hook, line, and sinker. If not,
do you see how this is one of those stories that as soon as it happens, like it said, it immediately derails the whole. It became, when I say it became the center of everything, and then just we went off the deep end. So again, I double down on David, but I'm not about to make this another 69. But again, I think we both agree on the spirit of this whole thing. Yeah. Political campaigns must obtain a BMI, political entity's license, to authorize to use the musical works, whether at a traditional location such as a hotel or a convention center, or at a non-traditional location such as an airport hangar or community fields where political events take place. I think it's fair to have the line drawn at political. Like, you can buy a karaoke machine, but the second you start using it as like a political propaganda tool, like, whoa, that was not. When I made a contract with Karaoke Inc., that guy, it was not contracted that you're gonna have Stalin run around singing "Ooh, baby."
Yeah, there's an impact to the band on that one. I mean, just like the real famous one of this is the Bruce Springsteen and oh my God, not Nixon, but Ronald Reagan. Born in the USA. That was Ronald Reagan's campaign song, Born in the USA. Bruce Springsteen was all sorts of against it. I'm surprised that I wonder if that law sprang from that one in particular. But it seemed like both parties seemed to just come away from, or at least historically now speaking, Ronald Reagan's a legend, Bruce Springsteen's a legend in their own right, and they're not conflicted by each other. So when it comes to that, I side a little bit on the artist on that one, because I don't want my art being like, the intent of my art is not to be a campaign slogan for someone I don't agree with. Especially with that particular Eminem song, it's a little too general, a little too right. But the Bruce Springsteen song, Born in the USA, he must have been just all sorts of pissed with Ronald Reagan as he's using that. It's a great song, but damn.
But again, if you write a song that is America, and now this guy, and again, it's faceless, or even more specifically, this is definitely not the face you had in mind when you were writing it. And they take it to commandeer it and steal parts of America off of your work. Totally inappropriate.
Yeah, I think there's a legal case
again,
for it.
Let's get back to the real point.
Yeah,
we are in America. You are also Donald J. Trump.
Yep.
Like, in a world where there's every playlist under the sun, and there's one I could probably throw a rock and find one person that likes you.
Oh,
one.
Yeah.
350 million people in a tribe. I could probably find one.
Oh, yeah.
You don't think there's a song out there of somebody that sings your praises that would love to have your support? So one, I think it's intentionally antagonistic.
Yeah.
Here's another article written about the Trumpy man. And again, not even that. I think Eminem's a clown. I definitely don't like him anymore. And there's nothing I really appreciate about his music ever since he kind of became politically involved. His music went with that. It went down the drain.
Is this post Rap God?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Okay. Rap God was, I think, peak.
Iconic.
But I think that was peak. I think you go Rap God
Also incredibly anti-Cleveland.
because of MGK.
I mean, absolutely. That's why that song exists.
But again, I think it's funny. His target used to be MGK, and now it's Vivek Ramaswamy. But one, I think it's lame that Eminem's even involving himself in this dialogue. Well, no, I just think he's lame. But if he disagrees with someone's politics and they're using a song, speak up. I definitely support that. Yeah. At the same time, what I was going to say is now here you go. You got an article about Ramaswamy and you've got Eminem, and we're still talking about Trump. Yeah. We're talking about Guns N' Roses. So if there isn't a political play here, like there's a brilliance to, dude, you don't think he could find an American song by
just whoever
Kid Rock?
There's all sorts of different avenues he can go down.
But that doesn't write an article for you.
It doesn't. Preaching to the choir does not generate quite the hype as it does. Just be a little antagonistic.
Man. All right. So I've held it away from you enough. The topic you actually wanted to talk about. And now let's segue
we are now a week out from the first Republican national debate. What are your thoughts? I have a few of my own, but I'd love for you to set the stage. Give me an idea of what your initial thoughts are now that you have about a week to chew on it here. Because I have a few thoughts myself.
So, and Trump's not in it, right? Again,
nope,
so
Trump's not in it.
So
let's even remove the little Tucker Carlson thing out of it. Let's just go purely.
This is the first debate. So we had, if you want to go check it out, I think it was 95, episode 95. You and I did a live episode. This was when we were trying to figure out the tech and it failed us. Yep. We did it on Instagram. We had Don Lloyd on and we were debating all different types of topics. Yep. One of the things he and I discussed in a podcast, go check it out, was what he so badly wanted to inquire what he thought. He thought, and I thought the first question of that debate would be to Donald Trump. At that time, he was assumed to be a part of it. Yep. So he wanted to know what I thought. We essentially came to the same thing. Before I answer the debate, I would be curious. Okay. What do you think Trump's first question would be or will be if he ever is, or when he's on a debate stage?
Interesting. It would probably depend on who else is on the stage. So if it's a large, I don't think he's gonna do a debate with a bunch of people. If he's gonna do a debate, it's probably gonna be about
one or two,
3 or 4. I think about 4 is probably about his max.
Yeah.
And I think the first question it would be
to him.
Probably, if I were to guess, it would probably be antagonistic to Trump.
Yeah.
I'd have to, because he's probably not leaning into Fox News. This might be, let's call this like an NBC, CBS debate.
Yep.
Probably something about the economy.
Really?
Yep. I think you go, Biden's economy is doing all right by the metrics you're going with your economy. What are you doing different? Or how come Biden's able to do it better in some ways?
I like that perspective because he and I put the same thing. Mine was a bit more antagonistic because that's how I anticipated, but it was of the vein of, are you willing to admit now that you wrongfully held the position that the election was stolen?
Oh, that'd make for some great TV, though.
That would be the first. That's what I think the first question would be of the vein of. Anyway, what do I think it will be now that he's not in it? What do I make of this? What I anticipate is this is going to be the Vivek Ramaswamy show.
Okay.
He is the most well-spoken. He's the most educated. I wanted to have the graphic ready for Brian, so I apologize for the audience member. I just didn't have the time, and I had to find it. It was ready for the last episode with James. I actually have the piece of paper. I could hold it up. Anyway, Vivek Ramaswamy, all right?
Okay.
He said everything you like, and he sounds great. And he's suave. And as a debater, I love that he's a great debater. And again, he says everything that I like. But he was like in 2015 voted as or listed on the World Economic Forum's soon to be major world leaders. That is a flag to me.
Yeah.
You know, I just, to me, I already don't support DeSantis because I think he is the GOP old machine puppet. Like he is a shill to the machine. It's the machine trying to preserve itself. He's not good at speaking. That's why they try to hide it. Like you get sound bites, and he's not good at thinking on his feet. He seems almost dumb when you see him tested.
There's no charm there.
Yeah.
I think what Ramaswamy is pretty good at is just
He's charming.
Throwing a smile out there, really talking, just having a
Dude,
bit
he's
of
singing
swagger
Eminem
to
at the
him.
same time. He's like, talking hard hitting issues with a smile.
Even Mike Pence has a little bit of swagger.
Well, especially now.
And yeah, that's the thing with DeSantis. I think we go back to the governing ability with him in Florida and what the people thought before he really got too politicized. And it turns out people really liked what he was doing in the state of Florida. Now you put the brighter you put a spotlight on DeSantis, the more it's just not. I don't think he works on that type of stage. It's a real Nixon versus Kennedy kind of deal where Nixon sounds great on radio, but Kennedy looked great on television. DeSantis just not hitting those beats. And I wonder if he's best when everyone's attacking him all the time, but it's liberals. It's not conservatives attacking him. When it's the liberals attacking him, that's your best sound bites. You have those clips and he's defending his COVID policy. And you just saw that with the debate. He's just constantly just referring back to, I've already done this. No one else here actually did anything I did that was really popular outside of maybe Chris Christie. But even then, what's the legacy of Chris Christie? Just being anti-Trump or almost the vice president? It's real.
It's sad because he was such a prominent political figure until the Trump show. Once that circus arrived, his legacy really crumbled.
I sat here and thought he would have been Trump's
dude.
Gold
I got to imagine. We got to
president.
agree there had to have been something in a backroom disagreement. There had to be a why in the road where it's like, no, I'm not selling out them for why.
Yep.
Like whatever it was, it seems like they were birds of a feather until there was a strict break in the road.
Yep. It just seemed like both of them hitting on the same points. And even on the campaign trail, they could have just complimented each other so well. Just been on this whole renegade kind of political tour, and then it just never happened. Then you have Mike Pence, the most milquetoast conservative you could possibly have. He somehow worse than John or not John Kerry. Damn it, who was Obama's opponent in the 2004 campaign or the 2012 campaign. John.
You talking about the guy that invented the internet? No.
Oh, boy. Oof.
Names are blanking out on me, man.
Yeah, they're blanking out on me. It's not John. It's not John Kerry. Is it John Kerry?
Sure.
It's John Kerry. We'll call it John
today.
Kerry. John Kerry's just toast, and somehow Mike Pence is even worse than that. And I will say Mike Pence was also pretty good. I think he held his own as debate, but he's not running for president. Everyone except for DeSantis was not running for president on that stage. They were all running for their own agenda. Mike Pence was going, well, I'm going anti-Trump, and I want my legacy to be that I went against Trump at his final hour, and I don't want to be associated with him anymore. And there was a couple questions there when he's trying to defend his spending policy, but at the same time going, well, Trump sucks. And I think for the most part, Mike Pence fairly well educated, or he's fairly well practiced on that part. But there's still there's no way America's not going to vote for Mike Pence.
No. And you know what's funny is I was an avid Mike Pence supporter. I really, really liked him until the end of the presidential run there for Trump, really the campaign trail into the election and then how it concluded. But what impressed me the most about Pence, I don't know if you've picked up on this yet, but I can sometimes get worked up. I can sometimes get loud.
No way. Brian, have you seen this? I haven't seen this. You get a little worked up.
Me? Never.
Never.
But what I've come to appreciate about him is he's very well-spoken and an extremely well-articulate debater.
Yep.
So as somebody that competed in debate and got pretty far in it, one thing that I've always really appreciated about him is how eloquent he presents himself, but then he is a debater. There is a calculated, organized approach to his debates. That impressed me, made me feel as if he's just as calculated and organized in the way he approaches his career and his politics. I don't know. Part of me feels like everything post the shaking of our democracy, if you will. I've kind of lost faith in the fact that he isn't also sold out to this system.
Oh, I think he's
they're
100% sold out to the system.
So why are we talking to these people? Like Vic, man, good to know you. It was cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
Like once you find out that these guys are all sold out to the same system that's got us all bent over the same barrel, whatever color or whatever you got between your legs, it's all the same barrel. Are we going to stop picking the same strap on? Like, stop letting them do this to us.
Yeah. You just look like Tim Scott's on the stage. Why is he on stage? Where is the authentic, unironic Tim Scott? I hope he's president of the United States photo.
Didn't know his name until we started sitting here.
Where's that guy?
That's a guy. I'm being honest. Maybe it's because of the truth serum in this Epcot cup I'm drinking here. But if that's the case, I'm being real with you. I don't know who that guy is. I just heard of his name the first time today.
Yeah, but
because let's be real, in the campaign, Chris Christie, not because he's on the campaign trail for this important election. You know of him because of his past career. Mike Pence, you know of him because of his past career. The Vic and DeSantis, you actually know because they're the only other names in this race. Everybody else is just there to play a part and stand there.
Deal, maintain legacy, or just kind of elevate themselves.
No, because they can. Like, again,
it's all part of the system going back and saying, well, you're allowed here on the stage. I'd love to, who's the guy with the boot on his head?
Herman Munson or no.
Something Supreme.
Yes. Oh, man. You got
Vernon Supreme.
Vernon Supreme.
I want to see him on the stage.
I applaud you.
You get him out there.
No, they won't do that. You want to know why? Because I couldn't beat him. No matter how well organized and crafted of a debater Mike Pence is, he doesn't have the charisma and just personality to take on a dude with a homeless man with a boot on his head.
Just go full send. That would make for some great TV.
Are you showing pictures of him?
Can
please?
I share? Yeah, I'm gonna
please.
Sure.
You got to be sharing pictures of Vermin Supreme. Oh man, if you don't know who Vermin Supreme is, please go back in the archives and check out the old videos on YouTube of Vermin Supreme. And he was taking on his local political offices and he was able to get enough signatures to force political actors to take him serious. Amazing.
One of the very few grassroots campaigns that actually went mainstream. Just kind of went to us talking about him. Oh yeah, I don't know if he's actually good politically.
He's not in Ohio. Brian, you got any information on that?
Where is he from?
It's like Seattle. It's either a wet state or a lost state. It's like Missouri or Seattle. Like it's something like that. But or Massachusetts maybe. I can't remember.
Massachusetts.
Oh, you got it.
I'm a Vermin Supreme fan. But come on.
Just didn't know his name.
How awesome is it, though? Kids in Ohio decades later are saying your name.
Yeah.
You're more impressive than, what's his name, Tim Scott?
Tim Scott.
Boo! Who are you?
And he's was governor.
He was.
Do you think
my president?
Do you think there's a winner at the debate?
Trump. Said don't say it. He is, dude. I'm sorry. The winner, Tucker Carlson.
You actually think so? You think
100%.
100 million views was
there's like a rumor, conspiracy, falsehood, not real, that Elon Musk is footing the bill for Tucker's contractual violation with Fox. There's like some crazy number, like $50 million violation of like non-compete clause that he had to wait X amount of years before he could start doing any other show, whether it be live stream.
You even think that's a conspiracy or more just like a calculated business decision?
But that would be.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But there's nothing. Do I have the contract? Do I have a copy?
Well, no.
This is me on a podcast. I have to say
Yeah.
allegedly because I have nothing to prove to that fact.
No.
But
It's all speculation.
boom. But exactly to your point. In the game of odds for a brilliant billionaire, it's more likely than not. He definitely took on a $50 million cost. Dude, if it's $300 million for Joe Rogan to go to Spotify, it's probably within that ballpark for Tucker Carlson to go to X Twitter. So
somewhere around there.
If absorbing a $50 million cost is within that world, that's easy money.
Yeah.
I got 250 million more I got for you if you're willing to come to play in X Twitter.
Yeah.
So I think the real winner is Tucker because this dude was able to break away from this chokehold of the CIA organization and go speak as a free human. Dude, he was just testing the waters. He had the biggest audience on cable television, was just like, yeah, they killed Kennedy. Do you remember what opened the show? And I want to, the spirit of that video is like us, community. And I just want to remind you, question who killed the last president to speak up for all of us, regardless of race, creed, or background. Somebody killed him. Who? I'm not allowed to say because then I may not make it home in my car. At the same time, though, I bring that up again because this is the world we live in. That is real. And we got to be worried about what we can talk about and all of that. I get it. At the same time, though, there's something awesome to somebody with a huge audience recognizing he's putting his head in the guillotine, but it's a sacrifice for the rest.
He's going
necessary,
which helps. There's a little more trust now.
Well, but he was forced out of Fox being himself, and it only bought him freedom. And so there's something awesome to cheering on, whether like you don't have to agree with this politics, you don't have to agree with him, you don't have to whatever. Yeah. At the same time, though, there's something super awesome to this guy going off on his own, being a trailblazer, and he's taught that's the president. Whoever, whatever, you either bring the dead puppet back in, or it's going to be Gavin Newsom, or it's going to be Michael Obama, but it's going to be somebody. And when they go against the Republican candidate, it's going to be Trump. If he's not in a jail cell.
It's looking, it really is looking like it. I don't know if that debate really separated out anyone, just in America's mind going, and none of these guys really can. If anything, I half think DeSantis probably should have just sat this one out.
Totally.
They just,
he should have played his part, but good little boy, supported Trump, and he may have had his hat in the ring for VP. Because if you don't notice, you could sit there and eat ice cream, even be dead, and still become president after being vice president. So it's in the cards, dude.
Yeah, you can almost bribe a whole state of South Carolina. Wild, just wild how that whole thing transpired. He had Iowa, New Hampshire, just go and what was it? Pete Buttigieg and Bernie. I think they split the two, or one got two, and all of a sudden South Carolina Biden just took it. It was a wave. It was a real weird wave. That whole election, I think, is just going to come down in history as like a very interesting election. Just how all the parts played out. It's a real Game of Thrones kind of.
Oh my goodness, and that's it too. I'm confused on what I truly believe because I think it could be multiple iterations. As much as I believe they're wings to the same bird, it could also be a collection of different mob bosses, different mob parties that are warring against each other.
Yeah.
So that could be why the machine truly is against Trump, or the sure it's just a charade and we believe it is, but it's all fingers in the same hand.
Yeah.
Wrapping thoughts. What do you got for the people as we wrap up on our live show here? It was a good one.
It's a successful live show. This one felt good.
Yeah.
This one felt real good.
This is fun.
I'd say, hey, tune in next Tuesday at 7:00. I'm sure we're gonna have all sorts of different wonderful things to talk about. I think I wanna end on what Rachel Maddow said. Politics doesn't operate in a vacuum. Let's get outside that vacuum. Let's expand our mind. Let's rethink a few things. Some big K knowledge here. Think about some more.
Cheers to that. Brian, where can they find you? Check them out.
I don't really post much, but Instagram BC Mall. On X, I'm B Smalls. Keep you
Awesome.
posted.
Cool. Thank you guys. Again, don't miss my co-host, David Cunningham. You can check him out across the social medias.
Absolutely.
Guys, if we made you laugh, if we made you think, the best you can do to support this show is share this link. Take that video, send it to people, post it on things. If there's a theme of the dialogue, it's that we're against algorithms. And the best way to help us, come on, we gave you some free entertainment. This was a good time. And the best way to support this show is to share that episode. Otherwise, you can catch all of our content on our website at www.rethinkthinkpodcast.com. We got new live shows coming at you now. We are truly kicking it off. These live shows have just been dry runs, but we're going to be kicking off the show first week of September.
Next
can
week's
count
the
on
full
this.
go.
That's it. Full go.
Full go.
Count on this every Tuesday, 7 p.m. We got the podcast, Rethinking Podcast, Thursdays. So look forward to that. We got Dallas coming out this week. But otherwise, guys, again, check in the next episode. Peace. Thanks, Brian, David, boys.
Oh,
Good one. As
this
always.
is a good one.
As always. Oh, you're the man.
Oh, missed it. Let's try that one more time,
Yeah.
people.
See, this is your first bathroom break. For the whole.
Add to stream. I want to get rid of myself, so I'll drop that down. Deuces.
How many viewers?